It's getting ready to go live, so we can.
Oh, we're live.
I
We're
might be
live.
switching to my computer.
Yeah, that's fine. We're live. So peace, 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 everybody. And we're rolling. Today, last day of International Women's Month. We're going to do several things. We're going to recap the month. We're going to focus on a remarkable Pan-Africanist that really does not get her due. And our sister Andree Blouin, who many of you have come to know through the film Soundtrack to Coup d'etat. So we have some folks who are intimately familiar with Andree Blouin, her work, her legacy, out of Kinshasa, from the Blouin Center. So we'll be bringing them on to talk about the work, to talk about her legacy and her life. But before we do that, Kito, you want to kick us off with a little bit of culture, let's say, if you can. With their sister Maria Makiba. It seems like the quality is yeah.
Malaika, nakupenda malaika.
If the sound is not working, Kito, we can come back to it at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, we can come back to it at the end. So let's jump right into it. We have Pascal Manui with us, dear sister Patricia Lokwa Servan is with us to talk about remarkable Pan-Africanist Andree Blouin, and we'll jump off with you, the attendees. Please feel free to submit some questions in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know what you've learned through our platforms throughout International Women's Month, in terms of Congolese women who've fought for freedom and their allies, like Andree Blouin, a fellow Pan-Africanist. We're those of you on Facebook, on YouTube, X. Feel free to Instagram, of course. Just throw in some questions, your observations, and your experience this month, and with the content that we've shared throughout the month, as we bring International Women's Month to a close. So we're dealing with our sister Andree Blouin. Andree Blouin and her legacy, and probably best represented in the Congo through the Andree Blouin Center in Kinshasa. And we have a coordinator of the center's administrator, Pascal, with us. Pascal, share with us what the Andree Blouin Center is there in Kinshasa.
Okay, thank you, Maurice. And Patricia, please help me. My English is not good. You will help me to translate, okay? Je peux parler en français, tu vas m'aider, non, Patricia?
Oui, ou bien le lingala, peut-être c'est mieux pour moi.
Ah, c'est mieux pour toi. Alors, moi, le lingala, c'est un peu dur, mais je vais mélanger.
Tu fais le français, unless Maurice.
No, français. I'll help with the français.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maurice va le faire en français.
Alors, merci beaucoup d'avoir associé le centre culturel à cette visio. et nous avoir associés. Merci. Et donc, nous allons essayer de
Thank you for bringing the Andree Blouin Center on to be a part of this program.
Super. Le Centre culturel Andree Blouin est une plateforme offerte à la communauté congolaise en général, mais surtout à la jeunesse congolaise en particulier.
Yeah, the Andree Blouin Center is open to the community, local community in Kinshasa overall, but particularly focuses on the youth.
Et donc, nous déployons des projets qui touchent 4 axes: autodétermination, autosuffisance, panafricanisme et internationalisme.
And our program is grounded on basically 4 principles: self-sufficiency, self-determination, Pan-Africanism, and internationalism.
Okay, parce que nous avons réalisé que la plupart des centres ou des organisations qui sont basées ici à Kinshasa déroulent des activités ludiques, en fait des activités qui ne sont pas éducatives. Par contre, nous, dans notre façon de faire, nous intégrons les avantages ou en tout cas les histoires panafricaines, mais nous invitons également la communauté à se prendre à charge, à s'autosuffire et à penser à d'autres peuples qui sont en lutte. Nous sommes en solidarité, d'où le volet internationalisme.
Yeah, so we notice in Kinshasa, other centers, not as focuses on education, and that's where we target education, and we educate the local community and also encourage them to come in and take part in our programs, which is grounded in Pan-Africanism. Take part in a way that they can actually take ownership of their stories, take ownership of the educational process, and we encourage them to be present to the fact that there are other people who are fighting and struggling, and we encourage them to bring their ideas to the table in terms of leading the fight for change.
Merci. Alors, et donc, par rapport à ça, nous avons beaucoup plus des activités, notamment en ce mois de mars qui prend fin aujourd'hui, qui concernent la femme et le potentiel, parce qu'en mars, le thème était femmes et son potentiel, et on a organisé beaucoup d'activités. Je vais essayer de parler de ça de façon brève ici.
Yeah, so we have a lot of activities for the month of March. Of course, we focus on women, and I'm going to speak to you about the activities around women that we did, for the month of March.
Voilà. Et donc, par rapport à ces activités-là, vous allez comprendre l'impact de notre travail. Par exemple, en ce mois de mars, nous avons organisé des activités sur la rédaction web, le slam, la poésie et le leadership au féminin. Et la cible pour ces activités-là, c'était justement des jeunes femmes de 18 à 25 ans, pour les inviter à s'intéresser à l'écriture, parce que nous pensons que l'histoire du Congo est à écrire, mais à écrire aussi par des femmes.
Oh, wow. You said a lot. So, and you're going to help me. Before Mayday Pascal, make sure I didn't miss anything. So we focused on women, young women in particular, in a number of programs or workshops, shared with them how to, I think you said build websites, right? Was one. On writings, how they can, workshops around writing, how they can use writing as a tool for telling Congo's history. And you mentioned 2 or 3 others. If you can list them and I'll run them off. Deux, 3 autres.
Ouais. Et donc,
non, vous avez mentionné 2 ou 3 autres activités.
Oui, la télé sur la rédaction web, le slam et le leadership féminin.
Women's leadership. I already mentioned the web presence, web building, and so that's it.
Voilà. Par exemple, pour l'atelier sur le leadership féminin, ce n'était pas en forme d'une conférence classique où on vient enseigner aux gens. Mais en fait, nous, au centre, on invite les jeunes, on leur parle des réalités comme comment la femme prend en charge nos communautés. Et on a justement pris l'exemple de Léonie Abo, un livre de Martins, qui parle de Ludo Martins, par contre, qui justement parle du leadership de cette femme-là, comment elle a pu aider les communautés de façon concrète. Et donc, nous, nos activités, ce n'est pas faire venir les gens comme à l'université où on enseigne, mais on partage concrètement les idées, on fait une sorte de brainstorming pour que chaque personne rentre avec des idées concrètes de comment elle peut être capable d'aider sa communauté.
Yeah, so in our workshops, it's not a traditional conference type. We bring people in so that they can be fully engaged in a concrete way, where they can brainstorm ideas about how it is that they themselves can be engaged in the work. For example, we had Ludo Martin's book. What was the name of the book? Le titre de book, de Ludo?
La femme du Congo.
The woman of the Congo, and they engaged with this book, took ideas from it, worked with it to see how it can be applied to their current situation in the country today.
Et donc, lors de cette activité-là, l'objectif n'était pas forcément de citer les grands noms de femmes, les premiers médecins, les grandes avocates, non, mais de leur montrer l'impact même de nos mamans qui vendent juste dehors ici, des arachides, du foufou, mais qui prennent en charge des familles. Et pour nous, c'est ça aussi le leadership féminin qu'on a partagé aux jeunes femmes. Allô, je vous ai perdu? Patricia, je crois que...
Okay, we're out here and Camille is back to join us. That's magic.
Je crois que vous pouvez répéter parce que...
Okay.
Ok, et je disais, lors de cette activité-là, nous avons justement montré aux jeunes dames l'impact. On n'a pas cité les grands noms du leadership féminin tels que les femmes médecins, les femmes avocates, les femmes politiques, non. On leur a parlé vraiment de l'exemple de nos mamans qui vendent des arachides, des braises, et comment l'impact de cette dame-là dans nos familles, parce qu'ils scolarisent les enfants, ils font manger des familles, nourrir des communautés. Et donc, pour nous, le leadership peut arriver jusqu'à ce niveau-là pour toucher concrètement les familles et les communautés. C'est de cette approche-là qu'on évolue.
Yeah, so the approach is grounded in pragmatism and concrete realities. When we engage the young people throughout the month, International Women's Month, then it wasn't a question of providing a list of luminaries, women and their contributions to the Congo. But we actually talked about women locally, market women, women who are providing for their families, providing for their children so that they can go to school. We really brought it down to the grassroots level and engaged the youth in concrete examples as to how leadership can be exercised on a local level, which makes it accessible for them to see themselves in the process and how they can apply themselves as these other women in the local communities are doing.
Voilà. Et donc, cette approche-là, basée sur la proximité, permet aux jeunes filles, par exemple, d'avoir un peu comme l'effet des miroirs. C'est-à-dire, quand on leur parle de ces réalités palpables, la personne se dit que moi aussi, je peux avoir un impact positif et palpable pour ma communauté. Et c'est comme ça que nous, on implémente le volet panafricanisme dans notre centre.
Yeah, so the methodology, a part of the methodology it's grounded in proximity, so that they're showing examples of women who are right there in the community, and so that the young women who are in the workshops can actually see themselves in these women who are there locally, and can see in a very real way, concrete impact, tangible impact that they can have by I guess organizing themselves, and seeing the women who are there locally as examples, and that is the point of departure for the Pan-African teaching that we do at the Andree Blouin Center.
Voilà. Et à côté, dans le cadre de l'autosuffisance, par exemple, nous faisons de la solidarité panafricaine, mais des proximités vraiment dans le sens où, au centre, nous avons une caisse de solidarité. Il y a des gens qui viennent vers nous, encore des difficultés, et on partage le peu qu'il y a dans la caisse, peut-être pour des petites maladies, où il y a des gens qui, au marché, parce qu'il y a juste un marché à côté ici, qui peuvent tomber malades. Il n'y a pas un ministère qui prend ça en charge ici. Ils savent que dans ce centre-là, il y a une caisse de solidarité. Pour nous, c'est une façon d'expérimenter l'autosuffisance et d'enseigner aux gens qu'en tant que communauté, nous pouvons nous organiser, nous autosuffire, être autodéterminés et prendre en charge nos propres besoins. C'est aussi ça le volet solidarité panafricaine et autosuffisance que nous enseignons à nos communautés ici au Centre culturel Andree Blouin.
Yeah, so in the center, in teaching the participants, young people who come in, keeping in line with the proximity, the methodology of proximity. The center has what they call a Kiss de Solidarity. It's like a mutual fund, and they utilize that mutual fund to support market women, for example. We have right next to the center, there's a market. So the young people see how that mutual fund can be utilized in a very concrete way, and people in the community are present too. They're aware of the mutual fund, so they'll come to get support, whether it's for medical care or any other type of care. So the young people who are participating in the center are then in touch with the principle of self-sufficiency, the principle of Pan-African solidarity, all growing out of the mutual fund that the Andree Blouin Center has.
Super, merci. Et cette visioconférence a aussi la grâce de se passer le dernier jour du mois. Comme ça me permet d'être factuel. Par exemple, pour ce mois de mars, vu que c'est le 31, dans mon rapport, quand j'ai analysé toutes les visites du centre, on est à plus de 800 personnes qui ont visité le centre. C'est-à-dire concrètement, ça veut dire qu'il y a plus de 8 personnes qui ont appris des nouvelles matières sur l'autosuffisance, l'autodétermination, le panafricanisme et l'internationalisme. Et pour nous, c'est un impact aussi positif que le lieu où nous sommes est fréquenté par des jeunes filles, est fréquenté par des jeunes, est fréquenté par la communauté qui comprennent l'utilité justement d'être ensemble et de parler des enjeux qui nous concernent.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that we're doing this at the end of the month, because then I can speak in concrete terms in regard to the impact that we have had this month. Vous avez dit 800, n'est-ce pas? 800
Oui,
visiteurs.
plus de 800, oui.
More than 800 people have visited the center. And we can say, definitively that we have 800 people, at least 800 people, have come into contact with the principles of the center, the guiding principles of self-sufficiency, self-determination, Pan-Africanism, and internationalism. So we're keeping in line with the concrete impact or the methodology of concrete representation of what being together, what being in a Pan-African frame of mind actually looks like. Pascal, on a posé une question concernant les femmes. Vous avez dit d'âge de 18 ans à 25 ans, c'est ça?
Oui.
On a demandé pourquoi seulement 18 à 25 ans.
Ouais, merci, c'est une très bonne question. Alors, pourquoi 18 et 25 ans? Ici, à Kinshasa, généralement, ou au Congo, généralement, les gens ont leur diplôme d'État, le bac, le baccalauréat à 18 ans. Et ils vont à l'université à 18 ans. Et donc, pour nous, c'est important d'encadrer ces jeunes femmes-là, de 18 à 25, c'est-à-dire l'âge où ils sont étudiantes à l'université, d'apprendre comment écrire, parce que là, c'était l'atelier de rédaction web, mais aussi comment apprendre le leadership féminin, parce que nous croyons qu'à cet âge-là où les gens étudient, vu que les matières à l'université ici au Congo sont à vision occidentale, c'est le moment pour nous de les inculquer des matières panafricaines, le vrai leadership panafricain, pour qu'ils soient à même d'écrire la vraie histoire du Congo. C'est pourquoi on justifie cette tranche d'âge-là de 18 à 25, c'est-à-dire nous ciblons vraiment des étudiants pour impacter le Congo d'aujourd'hui et de demain.
Yeah, so the reason for the 18 to 25 range is 18 is when the students get their diploma and enter into university. And it's this phase, the university's phase, that we like to engage with the students. University here, a Western orientation. So it's an ideal moment to enroll those students in a Pan-African vision. It's at a point where they're engaged in study and in writing. So that's a perfect moment for us to get them involved in the writing, for the websites and all the other type of writing that we have for them. So that's in essence the rationale for engaging the young people at this age, because in essence they're students in universities, and prime opportunity for us to enroll them in a Pan-African way and Pan-African vision.
Voilà. Donc, je voulais être un peu pratique en donnant ces exemples-là pour que les gens comprennent vraiment qu'est-ce qui se passe au centre. Je pourrais me faire compléter par Patricia qui est avec nous. Mais tout ce qu'il faudrait retenir pour le Centre culturel Andree Blouin, nous sommes une plateforme vraiment éducative. Nous déployons des projets culturels, mais des projets qui éduquent sur les 4 axes que nous déployons: autosuffisance, autodétermination, panafricanisme et internationalisme. L'idée, c'est vraiment d'être, je vais le dire en anglais par contre, des places to be, là où il faut être, et les jeunes comprennent petit à petit qu'à Andree Blouin, si je suis à Kinshasa, je peux être là-bas. Pourquoi? 1, il y a une petite bibliothèque, je peux lire et rentrer avec des matières. 2, il y a des projets, il y a des discussions ouvertes, les gens ils viennent, ils débattent sur des enjeux qui touchent à notre communauté, mais également de la musique ou des histoires engagées qui peuvent permettre aux gens de comprendre que nous sommes dans une situation, dans un contexte qui demande l'implication de tout le monde, et en tant que jeunes, nous devons nous impliquer pour un changement social et une transformation sociale. C'est ça l'idée générale du centre que je pourrais vous partager avec vous ce soir.
Ok. Et vous avez dit que vous allez le traduire vous-même?
Ouais, me faire compléter peut-être par Patricia si j'ai oublié des choses.
Okay. Patricia.
I think as we go, I'll be able to cover some of the things. I don't know if you had other areas that you also wanted to look at and have a discussion on. I think he did a pretty good job covering generally.
Yes, he did a fantastic job. Camille, welcome, Camille. Camille, we have Pascal and Patricia with us. Pascal, Patricia, a shout out to our sister Camille. And Camille, I don't know, you're on mute right now, but I don't know if you wanted to jump in a little bit and share anything.
Sure. I can jump in and share a little bit about what I've been up to this. So I'm Camille Mbayo, Friends of the Congo volunteer, New York City coordinator. Lately, I've been on tour with Maman Justine Masika and her latest book, Women Resisting War. She's been working on the front lines for the past 30 years in Goma. And her book is her story of activism and her personal story. And it's been really, really fun to tour. We were in Atlanta, we went to Oakland to meet like lots of different people who are very engaged in in what's happening and who want to learn about everything that's happening. And to also like be with a woman who's on the front lines, you know, she went undercover and this is in her book, she went undercover in the mines of Rubaya. She at UN peace talks was present the first time they included women for the conflict for the 30-year war and all those good things.
Yeah, so that's in perfect alignment with what the Andree Blouin Center and what Pascal just laid out for us, the practical representation of Congolese women who are putting in the work, may not, in the methodology of the center and bringing it down to the level where folks, the young women, the 18 to 25-year-olds can relate and connect. And Mama Justine Masika definitely represents that. And the book, we'll definitely be getting it for the library at Andree Blouin Center. Make sure we send some of those books, Mama Justine's book, Women, Resist War.
Yeah. And then the French version is here, Femmes debout face à la guerre, So
Okay, Femme debout face à la guerre. Beautiful. Yeah. So we can get both English and French in there.
Yeah.
So we talked to Pascal, Patricia. Pascal laid out for us what the center is doing, right? And what we would like for you to share, Patricia, is the inspiration of the center. And maybe you can delve into that for us. Talk about why Andree Blouin.
I think it's important to understand that the legacy of Andree Blouin is not just the fact that she was a woman that defines her. It was a woman who was beyond just an ordinary woman as we saw her. She was an activist, she was a strategist, and she fought for justice, and she built movements all across the African continent. But more importantly, when we look at Congo, I would like the way I see the center. I don't see it just as a cultural institution. I see it as an incubator for intellectual resistance, just like we see the Harlem resistance, or if you even see the Casa de Americas when you look at Latin America. When you're looking at Harlem resistance, there's a period where African Americans, after feeling the brunt of oppression, after traveling or being stolen from their land and coming to America, to where they didn't know who they were, where they didn't have lineage, they start moving up north, and they end up in Harlem, they end up in Chicago, they end up in West America. And you find people who for many years didn't have a voice, and their voices were oppressed. And then you have, during the Harlem Renaissance, people such as Langston Hughes, people such as W.E.B. Du Bois start really looking at poetry different, where it becomes a form of resistance, where how do I use my voice to tell my story? And I think that's really how I see the center, where it's really more like an incubator, where with all this oppression being on the people of Congo, on the Congolese, specifically the youth and the women, the center provides a space where you can get away from all of that noise, and you can come to a space where your ideas are heard, your feelings are heard. And there's actually spaces where you can see that there's people in history or even in the present time that have gone through what I've gone through. So the idea of the center is really, how do you take the history and also bring it into contemporary time and build this bridge between how have we seen these forms of oppression against people, whether it be in America, whether it be in Latin America, whether we even see it in Europe and Australia. Here comes a space as the center where it becomes this incubator, where we start cultivating our ideas and we find a place where we start being heard. So the idea of the center was really to create the Congo that we wanted to see. Me and Maurice, when we had first started really with this idea, I had came from Zambia, and I remember thinking, in order for you to create something, it needed to be extraordinary. It needed to be huge. It needed to be this. And coming from Zambia, the women and the youth there had put together a space where it was somebody's house. And in that house, they called one room a specific name of a Pan-African. So when you come to the center, one of the first things you'll see is there's a place called Sal Lumumba. You'll see Winnie Mandela. You'll see Wamba Diawamba. There's specific names of people in history where a room that we may look at it as a place to sleep becomes a place of inspiration. Even in the name, as you open that door, you get inspired as you're walking into the center, because every rock that you turn, every corner that you see at the center has been specifically built in helping us not only understand what our identity is and our voice in history at this moment, but more importantly, how do we make sure that we don't get lost in the narratives where the outside world tells our stories versus the Congolese people themselves telling their stories. So when we talk about Wednesdays conversations, or we have the jam sessions, these are their stories. All we're doing is really providing a platform and a space where these stories can be heard, where it's not being told in Congress when you have people coming together, giving a narrative, whether it even be from the diaspora, because a lot of times we Congolese, we've left Congo for over 20 years, 30 years. People such as Pascal, who live there every single day. And we all know how politics is, even when we're looking at the USA, when we look at what's happening with Trump. We can't even keep up with the changes of what's happening from January till now. So imagine Trump on steroids. That's the Congo. So when you have people in diaspora trying to even keep up with the realities of what's going on in the Congo, the question goes back to, who is writing these narratives? Is it coming from the Pascals? Is it coming from the Jemimas? Is it coming from the people who are feeling the brunt force of the oppressive regime that currently exists, that neglects and ignores the needs of the people? And you have a top elite who serve their interest, and they have these negotiations, whether it be in Qatar, whether it be in Angola, whether it be in Rwanda or Kenya, none of these conversations are including the people. So what tends to happen is this frustration begins to build. Nobody talks about the mental impact of what it does to a people. We've seen Palestine as an example, and we stand in solidarity with Palestine. But when we see what goes on in Palestine, the Congolese have been living through this not just in recent times, but even during King Leopold, where you had over 15 million Congolese who were brutally murdered and hands chopped when they didn't bring, for example, a certain amount of rubber. So when you're looking at the fourth industrial even revolution, how we're looking at technology, people such as Pascal and the center become so much more important now than even before, because their voices, as they're using technology, as we're speaking right now on Zoom, becomes a form of resistance. It becomes a form of them telling their stories, where when you're reading CNN, it tells one story. But when people continue to live, even with the Palestinians, we saw that. When the bombs were dropping, people had to resist, and their form of resistance was planting the olive tree. The form of resistance was continuing to educate their children. So the center represents that same form of resistance, that despite what goes on, whether it be poverty, whether it be lack of the government taking the role that they need to do to protect the people themselves take ownership and say, we will tell our stories, whether it be through poetry, whether it be through music, whether it be through film. We will find a way that history doesn't forget that during this period, resistance was always a part of the story.
Wow, that's amazing, Patricia. Trump on steroids.
Sorry.
No, but actually that caught my attention. But more importantly, Andree Blouin Center being an incubator for resistance, right? That's grounded in pragmatism and very concrete examples that these young people can experience. And I think, if you know anything about Kinshasa or the Congo, I think that's so critical what you're talking about, Patricia, because the overwhelming majority of the people, especially in Kinshasa, I think Kinshasa, they have there's an expression, right? Je me débrouille, right? I do what I can, I have to, really to survive, right? So people are in a mentality, a mode of mind of survival. So for you to create a space where young people can reflect, can engage in dialogue and exchange and study, not solely about surviving today, but really creating a different reality for not only for themselves, but for Congo writ large. I think that's a very powerful space to be holding for these young people, especially as Pascal said, right? They're not getting that in the universities. They're getting the regurgitated Western view of things. So that is so critical, the work that the Andree Blouin Center is doing. Now, Patricia, obviously what you just outlaid, I'm not going to, out you or anything like that, but it has, revolutionary underpinnings, right? And any kind of revolutionary thinking or view is certainly going to meet resistance. So what kind of challenges, does the center face, both for you, Pascal and Patricia, as you, enroll these young people in a radical vision of a new Congo?
I think what the center represents is really the Black identity and the African identity through literature, through music, and just through political thought, right? And when you see that space where people can freely think, it becomes a problem, right, for the regime, because the system was created to not allow that. I remember about 5 years ago, I was working with you, Maurice, and I was seeing what was going on in the Congo, and I was like, is it me? Are people not seeing what's going on? And you said, Patricia, they put people in bestial conditions. And I really took the time, probably till today, I always think about that, where when you look at an animal who's in the jungle or who's just trying to survive, what makes an animal what it is? They wake up in the morning and they just try to survive, and they make sure that they can eat, and they make sure that they don't get killed by the adversary. So that's what really the system that we currently have in place has created, where as we sit in luxury as we may say. It doesn't even have to be that, just the fact that you have peace, that there's no war, that you have the ability to think and plan. What do I want to do next month? What do I want to do next year? Let me save this amount of money. The average Congolese doesn't have that opportunity to dream beyond tomorrow. They wake up in the morning, they look for food, and they make sure that each child is fed and have the basic nutrition that they need to not get sick. And we're looking at a healthcare. So when I'm looking at Congo, for me, it's all about how the system was never created for the Congolese people. And the center provides an avenue to really study that and understand, why are we where we are? Because I always use this example where, imagine a young Congolese man whose mother works in the market selling mangoes and oranges every morning for 30, 40 years just to send this child to go to a university. This child graduates, and this mother now feels that, okay, now I can retire because this child will now take care of me because I've done my dues. I've taken care of this son. But this child comes out, there's no jobs, there's no, the illiteracy rate is skyrocketing. There was a speaker in Congress recently who was saying that over 80% of Congolese children at the age of 10 can't even read and write. What does that say about the future of Congo? So what we have is a small group of an elitist group who have taken the country hostage, as we see what's going on currently in the USA, and who are speaking on behalf of the people. And the people are literally living in bestial conditions, no access to water, no access to electricity. And beyond that, there's a war happening in the East. There's an outbreak of one disease after the next happening. So you have this brute force of all these things coming at you at different directions. How do you dream of a better future? How do you dream of a better tomorrow when you can't even envision if you're going to be alive for the next day? So what makes what makes people such as Andree Blouin and women in these spaces, because historically we know that women are in the forefront of change. Currently, even in the Congo, when you have a speaker for the Congolese government who has been the most dominant voice, even beyond the president, making the most logic. And I'm sure Marie's great with names. I'm terrible with names. What's her name?
Kwamba Wagner.
Yeah.
That is the most.
Foreign minister.
He is an Andree Blouin of our time, where our whole government system, with however much money that they've plundered out of the country, they're unable to protect the people. And you have one woman, one force, who's going against Kagame, who's going against the European Union, and she's speaking on behalf of the Congolese people. And that's why it becomes very important that women speak on these issues, because women carry life. We know what it means to carry life for 9 months and how to incubate that life and protect that life and to give birth to that life. Because as you're giving birth to that life, there's a possibility that you're sacrificing your life for that child so that it can continue legacy. And as long as we don't have women in political spaces, as long as we don't have women in leadership spaces, we will continue to see not only this happening in the Congo, but all across the world, where oppression continuously repeats itself, because representation of what makes us be able to have even that sixth sense can't be given to a man. Because until you give birth and you see the value of life and what it means to protect life, going to war is like playing a video game. I really feel like these people think they're playing video games on people's lives, and they're not thinking that these people had ideas. These young children that are being murdered, brutally murdered, had dreams, had inspirations. We've made them numbers. So, 3,000 died today, 200 died today. Who were these children? What were their names? What were the dreams that their mothers believed in and invested in? What have you left behind, where these young kids are joining the M23, and now the investment that the parents have put in to look at after investing in their education or in investing in the little bit that we have, that's been robbed for them. So a whole future is being robbed, not just from Congo, but for the whole African continent. And I feel like it's so important that as we engage Palestine, as we engage Sudan, as we engage Haiti, that we must look at Congo in a parallel, and not even just build those bridges where we make sure that it's not one story versus the next, but we have to look at the parallels that exist in each and every space to start understanding our enemy is common, and it's one enemy, and they come from one direction. And the only way that we can find this enemy is through one force. And that force is uniting, not just building bridges, but uniting, building a force that when you hit when the hit hits, they feel it, whether it be economically, whether it be us not giving and selling our culture, whether it be us standing when we talk about poetry, for example, as I gave the example of the Harlem Renaissance. If these specific individuals didn't exist during this era to tell us what was going on, how things they felt, what was happening to them emotionally, what was happening to their identity. Here is a lost, basically, nation, a group of people come from many nations that came to Americas that recreated their own narrative. We see that during the Harlem Renaissance. And today, that's what folks are doing at the Andree Blouin Center, as we also see at Yole Africa and many other places that are sprouting out across Congo.
Awesome.
Pascal, if you want to add.
Ouais, je pense que tu as vraiment balayé le sujet, hein. Et c'est super important de comprendre que c'est très intéressant, malgré les difficultés, que les gens comprennent qu'il y a un cadre où ils peuvent vraiment parler des enjeux qui touchent notre pays dans ce sens-là.
So what you've touched on is really interesting, as Pascal said, that people understand that in spite of the difficulties, there's a cadre, a network of young people who are engaged in understanding and deconstructing the intrigues that are encapsulating our country, that ravaging our country, really. So that is so powerful to have that space, Patricia. Just to give you an example of how powerful that is, even in the United States, right? In Washington, right, which is the center of the empire. I mean, I cannot count the number of think tanks that there are in Washington. Like, these are institutions, like research institutions and advocacy institutions, all, gathering information, analyzing information, and sharing information about how the United States can maintain its dominance globally. Usually when you think people who are under attack, as we see Congolese are, that there wouldn't be that space for that. As you said, you were just thinking about how to survive and defend yourself against the attack. But you're creating a space where people can actually reflect and plan, strategize, and particularly focusing on the young people. There's some data out there that says the median age in the Congo is like 17. So targeting the young people is so crucial, and showing them, providing them with an avenue for them to be engaged in thinking, in strategizing, in building solidarity, the internationalism of the Andree Blouin Center, predates, Free Palestine, right? The current iteration of Free Palestine, where you saw the necessity of being in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and in Cuba, and in Haiti, and Sudan, and really throughout the globe. So it's really powerful. Camille, I don't know if you had anything you wanted. Oh, go ahead, Patricia.
No, I just wanted to add this part, that the current leadership and system of the Congo does not represent the aspirations of the Congolese people, and I think that's very important to mention that, because when you read, even if you just Google Congo, if you're on right now, pull the screen up on the side and Google Congo, the first thing you see is war. You see number one rape capital of the world. It's anything negative when it comes to what it represents, not just Congo, the Black person per se. There it is on display. A perfect example of it is the Congo. So I think it's very important. I just wanted to add to read the Congo dossier from Tricontinental, where the center played a central role in creating the specific images that came about. We work with the artists at the center, where how do we re-envision Congo, and how do we make sure that we don't lose our legacy and our history, and how do we talk about Congo from a resistance perspective, not from a place where we want the outside world to come and save us, but Congolese wake up every single day. Again, I keep repeating, folks at the center, folks at the Yole Africa. We have people all in Kisangani. We have people all across Congo and in the diaspora, consistently defining their own story, sharing their own narrative, but the political class continues to overshadow them. So this type of work and the those who are watching, resharing those stories, whether it be on Instagram and Facebook, of the Congolese narrative becomes so important. And I really want to encourage the Congo dossier on resistance, because it was a learning opportunity for me too, to see myself as a Congolese in a different light. Because as long as you see yourself in the light of how the oppressor sees yourself, that's one form of not even being empowerment. You can't be empowered when you don't see yourself in a space of leadership and force. And by understanding who our ancestors was, people such as Kimpavita, people such as Simo Kimbangu, people such as, when you look at Malcolm X, Emile Cabral, Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, Andree Blouin, it becomes important to look at those stories as a form of inspiration, as what kind of Congo do we want to see for generations to come.
Very, very powerful. And in what you just stated, Patricia, you're made a call to action, an appeal to people. We've seen the effectiveness of social media, in spite of the obstacles that have been put in the young people's way. We've seen, Camille, the Gen Zs and the millennials leverage social media to tell their own story. Without social media, the corporate version of what's unfolding, the genocide that's taking place in Gaza, would be totally erased. So the same goes for the Congo. Thank you, Kito, for sharing the tricontinental work that Patricia mentioned, that the Andree Blouin Center played a role in publishing. We highly recommend that people take that and share that information. And that's another thing about the Andree Blouin Center, Patricia. You talk about telling stories. It's knowledge production. You're producing out of the center, whether it's the work that you do with the Académie des Beaux-Arts, which is down the road from you guys, work that you do with musicians, the training that you provide at the Andree Blouin Center in Pan-Africanism. You're producing the collaboration that you do with international artists. I think you said Tings collaborated with producing content for.
Even in Mali, the folks who did the wall at the center, they were
central. The mural of the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're working with the city of Los Angeles. You've provided content coming out of the Andree Blouin Center for Congo Sonic, which is running from end of March right through to June. So those of you who are tuning in, watching today and being a part of this discussion, you can amplify that work. Patricia has said it time and time again, that the stories coming out of the Congo, we need to lift up those that are coming from the bottom. That what we see at the level of the elite is not reflective of the aspirations or the interests of the people. People are always asking, what can we do? What can we do? And there's a clarion call coming from our sister Patricia, Brother Pascal, is to uplift the Congolese voices from the bottom, amplify their stories, provide platforms for them to share their stories. And the Andree Blouin Center is an incubator for that. So if you're at Harvard, if you're at Stanford, if you're at a peace center somewhere in the US, if you're at a community center, a grassroots organization, wherever you are, if you want to learn more about the Congo and want to hear the voices of the Congolese people, reach out to the Andree Blouin Center, right? Engage them in a way that they can, just as we're talking right now to you, Pascal, Patricia, others at the center can be talking to you in your classroom, at Howard University, can be talking to you in your classroom at Morehouse, or could be talking to your classroom at Princeton, or if you have a peace group, if you're part of a Palestinian, youth network, the Andree Blouin Center you can tap into the Andree Blouin Center and hear about what young people, what the youth are thinking, strategizing around, what they are envisioning for a different Congo, a Congo that you're not getting from the voices of the elites. So it's a clear call to action on the part of the folks at the Andree Blouin Center. We're coming down to the last few minutes. I don't know if Pascal or any of you wanted to jump in with a few words, parting words for people who have tuned in to watch us today.
I think for me, it's be very selective of where you get your news from. I think Friends of the Congo is one of the places where, being a Congolese coming to the USA, I would read what was going on. And I remember going to Friends of the Congo and finding out, oh, this is why a lot of our contracts and the deals that you're trying to do in the Congo are not working out. Right. So if you're trying to do business in the Congo and and you can't figure out why, go to Friends of the Congo. If you're trying to go to the Congo and you can't get a visa because you have good intentions, go to Friends of the Congo and you'll find out what are the different reasons of those things that can happen. But most importantly, I think a great resource for just organizing is the Congo Week toolkit that is usually used on the last week of October, where they encourage you, whether it be a church sermon, whether it be cooking something at your house and inviting friends over to watch a film, such as a soundtrack to the coup d'etat. All those different things provides a space for conversations and also a place to build solidarity, right? Where it's not just about the Congolese people, it's about humanity. It's about making sure that the stories of those who are oppressed, as we see again in Palestine, as we see again in Sudan, our stories are very similar. And if we just take the time to look and read between the lines, we'll start noticing that what's happening in Congo is happening in Sudan, is happening in Palestine. And again, the same forces are behind them. So if we're able to unite and really understand the dynamics of what is leading to instability in all these different spaces, we'll start to find that our intellectual capacities, our abilities, God-given abilities that they've given us, we can actually not just, a lot of times people think, well, I don't have money to donate, so who am I? Are you a teacher? Do you know how to teach, reading and writing? People need that. Are you somebody who's great with artistic expression and teaching? How do you take what's in your mind and in your emotions and transmit it through artistic forms? We need those type of people because the current system that exists in the Congo doesn't provide, whether it be funding or platforms for that, because the story is being written by a group of people who don't have an interest for a better future for the Congolese. So you being a part of what's going on, not only at the center, but with different collaborators and people such as, like I mentioned, Yole is more in Goma, we're in Kinshasa, in the East. It just becomes very important to build those bridges so that our stories become one story. And as we start facing this force that's pushing down against our throats and choking on us, we can be the brother who pulls the hand off. We could be the sister who pushes this force away and say, breathe for a little bit while I take on this brunt force as you recover. If I could explain it in a physical sense.
Beautiful. Furkan, Ali, Patricia has issued a call, brother, literacy support. It can be used. It's needed. So thank you for your comments. Thanks, Patricia. Camille, any parting inspiration for at the end of International Women's Month? You spent a remarkable time with our sister Justine Masika Bihamba, just an incredible woman. Any takeaways that you can leave folks with?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of great things have been said, right? It's the whole, this is really an elites, we're fighting a class war, right? It's the elites of Congo, but the elites of the US, it's just the rich and wealthy who don't care about how we move forward because they've amassed a certain amount of wealth and then they're planning on going to the moon or whatever else they're planning on doing with that money. So they don't care about
some people say, go, let them go to the moon. Don't come back.
If that's what they, yeah. But go about having to kill people, it's like
right. Just go.
Right. So it's like, how do we build solidarity across movements? Like, how do we build, true community? And it's by participating in grassroots organizing, right? And wherever you are, if you participate in group grassroots organizing, I'm sure it connects somehow to whatever system of power is oppressing somewhere, because it's like we're all suffering in our own different ways. There's abuses, human rights abuses in all the sectors. And I mean, we talked about Soundtrack to Coup d'etat, right? Like it's a great historical of how like, the UN abuses, MI6 countries abuse, like everybody is against the people. And we as a like global population need to like, raise our awareness of one another and like listen to our stories better so that we can know how to navigate this world against the elites together across our differences.
Well said. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for Camille. And folks, Camille has been doing some incredible organizing, of course, in New York, and those of you in New York want to get involved, get engaged. She's your point person. Hit us up, and we'll make that connection. Brother Pascal, un dernier mot, s'il vous plaît.
Ok, alors merci beaucoup vraiment pour ce moment d'échange. Alors moi, j'ai toujours aimé, et ce qui me motive vraiment à rester dans cette lutte, c'est que quand je reçois des gens, par exemple des visiteurs au centre, et qui viennent être vraiment surpris pour savoir que un environnement comme ça peut exister à Kinshasa, où on peut venir apprendre, où on peut venir vraiment discuter, libérer la parole. Et moi, quand je me vois, en tout cas devant de telles personnes, je me dis, on est en train d'atteindre, en tout cas, de faire des impacts, d'atteindre l'objectif. Donc, nous devons continuer. Voilà ce qui nous motive, qu'il y a des gens qui viennent découvrir l'espace et qui se disent, mais en fait, cet espace existe vraiment à Kinshasa, où les jeunes peuvent se voir, discuter, apprendre et rentrer gratuitement. Et donc, à chaque fois que j'apprends ça, je suis motivé de continuer. Et merci à Friends of the Congo pour ce genre d'initiative aussi, qui nous permettent de parler de ce que nous faisons, de démontrer notre impact pour continuer à toucher nos communautés.
Thank you, Pascal. Pascal was saying, what motivates him is that people who come to the center, visitors, and they're surprised that the space actually exists, where young people can freely speak and discuss their ideas and share their thoughts, and that is not only inspirational but also motivational for Pascal. And Pascal, je suppose, il y a beaucoup de jeunes femmes qui viennent aussi, hein?
Oui, il y a beaucoup de jeunes femmes qui viennent justement parce que c'est un cadre aussi, au-delà de nos activités, c'est aussi un cadre où les jeunes peuvent venir travailler, des étudiants surtout. Et donc, vu qu'il y a l'accès est gratuit, les gens y rentrent et se concentrent pour leur travail. Il y a de plus en plus de jeunes, surtout pour ce mois de mars qui prend fin aujourd'hui. Il y a eu beaucoup de jeunes dames en tout cas.
Yeah, so I was asking him if there are young women who come through as well, and he says yes, which is really important because it's vital to have women's voices be a part of the discussion, be a part of the dialogue, as Patricia so eloquently articulated, that they bring vital perspective around human life and compassion, and so I was glad to see that young women are, that space is created for them to be a part of the discussion as well. So thank you all. Just thank you so much, Camille and Pascal, Patricia. Patricia, go ahead, please.
It was so important for me to say this, and I don't usually do this, but I want, when people look at Pascal, to look at a success story of what the center could do. Pascal has been with us for over 5 years. He started before the center was open. We were at university campuses. We were organizing, just doing film screenings. And when we had started at Inikin, he was one of the first 10 people that we started with. After graduating, he got a scholarship. There was over 500 applications, and he was selected. 2 people were selected to be able to go to journalism school in Senegal. And the center supported him through his journey. And when he came back, the first thing that he did was he saw that there was a group of individuals globally that had invested in him. And despite it not being the best pay, Pascal, I know that, we do our best with what we have, but he felt the need to come back to the center. He felt the need to tell his story and also to share what he had experienced in Senegal and to see and to also show Congolese that it's not just, we're not speaking in theory. This is what practical investment in a human being looks like. And you always say this, Maurice, the biggest capital or the biggest resource that Congo has is the human potential that exists. And Pascal represents what it looks like when we invest in the youth and we invest in their minds, that the potential is great. And to see him at the center with no power outages, to be able to have a conversation while I'm in Ghana, somebody's in New York, and we're across the world, I think this is a great way for us to remember that when things are done right, this is what it looks like.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Patricia. That's in perfect alignment with what Pascal stated about the center, the pragmatism. So here it is that you have someone who's a beneficiary of the scholarship. And for those of you who want to support the center, I have to put that link up there, Quito, the scholarship initiatives, the Lumumba scholars, that the center has, and Pascal is a product of that. They're very practical initiatives, programs, and Lumumba Scholars is one such program that people can actually support. At the Andree Blouin Center there in Kinshasa. Let me see if I can get the link up for you, Quito, for people to support the Lumumba Scholars at the center. In addition to the Lumumba Scholarship, supporting Lumumba Scholarships, would like to be in contact with the Andree Blouin Center. Can you tell them the best way to be in contact with you, Patricia, at the center?
Sure. So there's the andreblouin.org. Pascal, if you can give your email so they can contact you directly, you can write it in the group and also just say it. There's info@andreblouin.org. But I think for those who, as we say, we do things practical, not general emails, you can reach out directly to Pascal. He's working there with a group of other young Congolese, Monday through sometimes 7 days a week, but Monday through Friday, consistently engaging and waiting to see it's whatever capacity we can build collaboration. That's what we're all here for, to encourage and uplift them.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we'll stay on just a little bit until Quito is able to share those. So
were
the
there any
scholarship
questions, Maurice, in the group?
They I think they had asked the question already in the outset. Quito, were there any more questions that came in? There were more comments, and and when you were speaking, I think people were just like, they put that flame, like fire.
Oh, I can't see anything.
Yeah, I think that's what was coming through. I said they were just basically co-signing what you were saying, Patricia. I think you covered it. Quito said no more questions. So Quito, please share the Lumumba Scholarship initiative. Andree Blouin Center. Thank you, Quito. Andree Blouin Center is open for engagement. Universities, faith institutions, community groups. If you'd like to be engaged with young people, we often get requests for what are the young people in the Congo thinking? What are they saying? What do they think about this minerals deal that the president president of the Congo just launched with the U.S. government? Or proposed to the U.S. government, not launched, proposed to the U.S. government. So Andree Blouin Center, the young people are there, ready, willing to respond to you, let you know what they're thinking, what their thoughts are, what they're organizing around. So please continue to support the center, continue to engage the center. And we're going to be having you guys back on, especially as we get into African Liberation Day, 100-year commemoration of Lumumba. And you offer a lot of possibilities too for people to tune in online when you do your center, your events coming out of the Andree Blouin Center. I think people can tune in online as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Camille, Pascal, Patricia. It's been amazing. All right. Be well. Peace. Thank you, Quito.
Merci. Comment on fait pour quitter, moi?
nawe. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Ningekuoa maliwe, ningekuoa dada, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, pesa zasumbua roho yangu, pesa zasumbua roho yangu, nami nifanyeje kijana mwenzio, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, kidege ukuwaza kidege, kidege ukuwaza kidege, nami nifanyeje kijana mwenzio, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, nashindana mali sina we. Ningekuoa malaika, malaika, nakupenda malaika, malaika, nakupenda malaika. Ningekuoa